for a lot of folks. Okay, so we're recording. Um, I want to introduce the LACE team. So we have Camille Wong, who's our communications manager, and she can wave. Um, we have Fiona Ball, who's our deputy director. We're missing Juan Silverio because we're installing a PST show right now. Juan is very important to LACE. And then we have Andrea Cunha, who's one of our Getty interns. Our other Getty intern is off today. So that's who's here from LACE. You're welcome to, message any of us directly if you need to. Just to start with the Lightning Fund, we are super excited to be the Los Angeles administrator for this award. And if you don't know about LACE, we are the longest running incubator or organization that supports emerging artists, curators, and cultural workers. This award is not necessarily specifically for emerging artists, but I do mention that. The Lightning Fund was created during COVID, and the Warhol Foundation approached us and wanted to give some more support to Los Angeles. And they have a regranting network that's national. And there were about, at that time, 20 or so cities that were participating. And weirdly enough, LA wasn't on there. So they added us on during COVID and invited LACE to administer this program. So we're happy because we feel like one of our big missions is to support artists directly, and this is one way that we can do that. So the first 2 years of the grant, they were really emergency and recovery grants. And we did, a more modest award. It was a $1,500 award, but we gave out like 50 of them each year to try to help people with like kind of emergency situations during COVID. Then in the third year, we moved toward the traditional model for the Getty Regranting program, which is to make artist grants. So directly for artist projects. We're calling it an artist project grant. And Selene, who I didn't introduce earlier, Selene Preciado is our curator. She's going to dig in a minute on all of the requirements, and we're going to, just talk for maybe a half hour or so, and then have the second half of the chat today be for you to ask questions. I do want to say, the history of LACE, the reason why I mention it is last year, or actually the last few years, I realized that not everybody who applied for the grant actually knows about LACE, which actually made me happy because it means that the grant opportunity is sort of reaching beyond just like our friends and people who follow LACE regularly. And you're welcome to share this information with your network of artists, friends that you think would want to check out this opportunity. You can check out our website if you want to know what kind of programming is coming up. This program, we have a panelist. So LACE is not making the decision about who receives the art award. So that's really important because we have many friends who apply and we're not deciding. This is an extremely, of all the regranting programs across the country, Los Angeles has the highest number of applicants, like by a lot, more than any other city. I think the next closest city was San Francisco, and they had half of what we have. So in the past couple of years, we've had over 250 applicants for the program, and we're only able to award a total of 11 grants. So it does make it kind of hard. Someone said, I hope you don't all just fund LA transplants. No, we don't ask you where you're from or where you're born or any of those things or where you went to school. The panelists are going to be looking at your work and your what you say about your project. So Selene will dig in on the criteria. Yay. Oh, good, Cindy. I'm glad we got a yay from you. Open to everybody. It is open just to LA County though. You have to live here. You have to be like, active in the county. So it's a pretty broad area. And so that's partly why there's so many artists in LA County. And so I say all that so that if you are not awarded a Lightning Fund grant or a Jackie Apple Award, to please apply again. We have this funding on an ongoing basis, as far as we know. It's not like this is like a one-shot, two-shot deal. We expect the Warhol Foundation to continue funding LACE to make these awards. So it'll be here next year. And I think for some artists that maybe have less experience with this, it's a great arena to practice writing about your work, being succinct and making a proposal for a project, thinking about a budget, that kind of thing. So, the idea here today is to like offer you some tips and ask, field any questions that you have. I also will just throw out before Selene begins that this is our first time doing an info session. A lot of our colleagues around the country have done those when in their regranting programs. So we thought, oh, we should do that this year and give you a chance to ask us questions directly. I will have to leave the meeting before 2 o'clock. So if you see my face and name disappear, you are welcome to get in touch with me if you want to chat with me. But there is a Lightning Fund email address. It's lightning@welcometolace.org. And if you have questions, they can go there. And that's also a great place for feedback if you want to have any suggestions for us about how to do this info session better. Oh, I forgot about the Jackie Apple Award. Thank you very much. So the Lightning Fund started with the Warhol Foundation. So we are now making 10 $6,000 awards. But last year, we were approached by the estate of Jackie Apple. Some of you would know her. She was a very beloved artist and curator and arts writer who lived in LA and also spent some time in New York. So her estate made an award to Lace and also Franklin Furnace in Brooklyn to give one artist award annually. And that's a $10,000 award. And Selene will talk about the criteria for that. That's just a little different, but it's the same application. You don't have to do much different to apply for that. You can read a little bit about Jackie on the website. All the panelists this year, their bios are on the website. We have a really fabulous group of 6 individuals who will look at your work. And they include artists and, curators in LA, and then also colleagues outside of Los Angeles, people who maybe don't know, half of your names or, necessarily even what's going on in LA, and they'll just be looking at the work and the proposals. So just wanted to share those things with you. And if you came in late, I'm Sarah Russin, because my name isn't on there. It just says Lace. I will rename myself, and I'm going to introduce Selene, who's our curator, who's been with us exactly 1 year as of today. So we're really happy to have her guide you through this process. So thanks, Selene.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Sarah, and thanks to everyone that is here on the call. We hope that we cover everything. Like Sarah mentioned, everything is on the website, but we'll try to go a little bit into more detail, and also we will have opportunities for questions. Sorry, to click. So the Lightning Fund will award 10 artists grants this year in the amount of $6,000 each, plus the one for the Jackie Apple Fund. So only applicants that are LA County residents and at least 18 years of age and not currently enrolled in a college program will be considered. And the reason for that is that we really want working artists to apply for this grant, and we think that students who are in school or in art school have at least an infrastructure that will allow them to realize projects, but because this grant is to support working artists to realize a project, that is the reason why we have that eligibility requirement. But if you have questions, if you are still thinking that you may or may not be eligible, please send us an email in addition to the lightning at welcometolace.org email. If you go to the website, all of our emails are listed, so you can try, either way, but we encourage you to use the lightning at welcome to Lace email address. And so also, as Sarah mentioned, we have one additional grant for the Jacki Apple Fund, and it's also it has the same eligibility requirements, one LA-based artist, and that award is for mid-career or late career artists. So if you consider yourself a mid-career or late career artist, there will be a checkbox in the application. I will show screenshots of Submittable, our application portal, where you can check if you to declare that you are eligible for that and would like to be considered. So that would mean that you will be considered for both grants if you check that box. And we have, as you see on the screen, an expansive definition of visual art practice. In addition to traditional mediums, we are open and encourage more experimental mediums and film, video, new media, sound art, performance art, and social practice. Let's see. We are open to innovation, experimentation, risk taking, and this is sort of like in alignment with the spirit of LACE. And we want the projects to be innovative and socially relevant, as well as accessible to the public outside of traditional museum or gallery settings. So we do support projects that maybe, there are to be presented like a one-time thing, or in places that are more accessible than a museum, maybe like public projects, and anything that is a little bit more experimental. So we discourage curatorial projects, which means that, projects that are kind of like event-based or program-based. We really want to support projects that are made by artists. And collaborators and collectives are also encouraged to apply. The only if you are a collective or work with collaborators, we ask that you select one person to be the main applicant, and then in the application you can describe into more detail the rest of your team or your collaborators. And we have this sort of like non-eligibility points that artists whose practice are firmly rooted in dance, theater, music, or industry, picture filmmaking are not eligible to apply, as well as nonprofit organizations and NLCs established for commercial enterprise. So you cannot apply as a nonprofit or an LLC that is trying to present a project or an exhibition. You have to be an individual or collective artist. And obviously, interdisciplinary or multidisciplinary disciplines are encouraged, and that will be, part of your application responses. And the review process will prioritize presentations in Los Angeles County, because this both grants are for exclusive for LA County. So if you're an artist that lives in LA and are planning to present the project elsewhere, that is kind of a question that may not be eligible. And also a very important note that the awarded projects are not intended for presentation at LACE. Also, we are currently under renovation, so we don't really have a space, but it is for projects to be presented elsewhere. And yeah, we have these are kind of like a summary of the application items that you have to prepare as part of your application. Your artist contact information, your website, brief description about yourself and your artistic practice. We don't require formal bios or CVs, because we are encouraging artists to be a little bit more fluid and explain their projects and themselves in a more equitable way. And we are also conscious about not all of the artists are academically trained, but we do have some resources at the end that we will share if you want to kind of explore a little bit, or if you need help putting together a bio or a description. There are resources that we will share with you. And also, you have to submit a project title and description, but the title can be a working title. It doesn't have to be the final title. And an outline of a $6,000 budget, that doesn't have to be a spreadsheet. It can be in narrative form, but I'll go a little bit more in detail about that. And then lastly, 1 to 3 strong work samples that represent the project that you're proposing for this grant opportunity. And we recommend visuals are very, very important. So something, present something that is very strong and that you feel really represents your practice or your proposal. So when you go to Submittable, and we really encourage you to, as soon as the application is live on August 16th, go into Submittable, register, and peruse the application. Just in case there are any technical difficulties or you have questions about the application, that you have ample time to contact us if you need any assistance. So it's very important that don't wait until the last minute to complete, in case that you need assistance or or have any additional questions about eligibility. So when you start the application, so this is a screenshot from Submittable, and this is kind of how it will look for you. The beginning of the application has some general demographic questions, and we collect demographic information because we have to report this with the Warhol, as part of the re-granting program. So I just wanted to note that there are a few questions about identity, but in the questions I don't have the complete list, but at the end, every question has an option of adding another, or if you prefer not to say, you can check that box. So, if you, every question has those two options of I prefer not to say. So don't feel intimidated by the demographic questions. Those are just serve to collect information. And then, yeah, so you'll see it'll start with name, last name, which city of LA County you reside in, and then the demographic questions. Then after you complete those questions, you will have, this is kind of like where the application really starts. If you have a website, please provide it. The adding websites, if you have them, is really helpful for reviewers. So if they have additional questions about your work, or they want to see more than what it's in the application, they can visit your website. And the same for social media. If you have an Instagram handle where you have work and you want to share that, you are encouraged to share. And then the bio, I wanted to mention that it doesn't have to be a really formal bio, like those you see on artist websites or as part of CVs. This is an opportunity for you to tell the reviewers about your artistic practice. So it can be a little bit more in narrative form. And every question has a limit of words. So like Sarah mentioned, be succinct and take advantage of the space to really talk about yourself and about your work. So here is where you'll see, I don't know if you can see my cursor, but after the description of yourself and your practice, the checkbox, if you want to be considered for the Jackie Apple Fund, if you consider yourself a mid or late career artist, you can check the box and that will signal to the reviewers that you'd like to be considered for that award as well. And then you'll go and again, like I mentioned, project titles. It can be a working project title. It doesn't have to be the final one. And then the description of your proposed project, there's a limit of 500 words. So please make sure to explain your vision and how you plan to achieve it. And as part of that, you can talk about your project as a new project. Maybe you're experimenting and going into a different direction. So if that is the case, please make a note that this is sort of an opportunity to do something different, or if it's an expansion of your existing work, also please make a note of that and include information about your timeline, your collaborators, anything that will help the reviewers understand the project. And as a reminder, the project will be evaluated based on the concept, the vision, innovation, the relevance to local, social, cultural, and geographic context. So the importance and the impact that it will have here in LA, and also on your individual growth as an artist. So the criteria and what we ask in the application mirrors the criteria for the reviewers. So you will see later when we talk about the what the reviewers will look for. It is the same as what we're asking for. So there's no surprises. And then the next question is to describe the ways that the project will be accessible to the public. So if you have anything that is community based, maybe there's a publication or some sort of printed materials, you know, yeah, an opportunity to visit your studio, and it's free and it's in the context of your community. So anything that is explaining how the public will have the opportunity to see the project and to access the project, that is the place, and the limit is 200 words. And then the project breakdown, very important. You don't have to submit a spreadsheet. It doesn't have to be very super detailed. It's, $6,000. The line items that we encourage you to think about is obviously every project is different. So you will have maybe different line items, as I'm calling them. And I'm saying that you don't have to have a spreadsheet, but thinking about, each cost will be different depending on your project. But, things like the your artist fee, and the artist fee can be up to 50% of the grant, if that makes sense to you. And this grant is to support your work and this project, the realization of this project. So please add an artist fee, fees for collaborators, or anyone. If you're a collective, the members of your collective, um, location, event rental, not event rental, space rental, equipment, documentation, any printing. And so you can do it in narrative form or with bullet points or just making a list. That adds up to $6,000. Lastly, you have to submit 1 to 3 samples of your work. So we encourage you to select very strong work, and taking into account that the reviewers, they may or may not go to your website or your Instagram. So the images that you submit or the videos that you submit as samples are very important. So like I mentioned, these are just sample budget line items. We don't have a template or a spreadsheet, but these are line items that are very general that people usually include depending on the project. I included website, for example. If the project has a digital component, you're welcome to also include that, because we know that those can be important costs. And also documentation, photo, video documentation, and hospitality. If the presentation of your project will include a reception, you can include hospitality as well. And the applications will be reviewed by a panel of local and cultural workers, artists, and members of the LACE team. We are supporting them in the process. And like Sarah mentioned, we don't have a vote, but we are here to support you in your application process, and also the reviewers. So we're we read applications. I will try to read all of them as well, just to kind of be support for the for the reviewers if they have any questions or if there are questions during the review process. And the panelists will review applications based on the proposals. So please make sure to respond to the questions the best you can, because their criteria will mirror the questions that you answer as part of the application. Strong consideration will be given to underrepresented artists, as listed here on the screen. And this is the list of our panelists for next year. So we have 6 artists and cultural workers. 3 are from LA, including 2 artists and 1 curator are LA based. And then we have 3 external or yeah, from out of LA County. And so we have Marcela Guerrero from the Whitney, Kimi Kitala from Charlotte Street, and Luis Martorana from Redline in Denver. The selection criteria. So the proposals will be considered based on the concept, vision, and innovation. So that is part of your question of describing your project. Relevance to a social, cultural, and or geographical context, which is also one of the questions that are part of the application. Accessibility of the project to the public outside of a museum or gallery. As you saw, that is part of the application questionnaire. Capacity of the applicant to realize the project on time within 1 year maximum. That is also part of the description of the project and the sort of projected timeline that you have in mind, and the potential impact on the local community and the artist's growth. The application opens on Friday, August 16th, so in a couple of weeks, and closes on Sunday, October 6th at 1 minute before midnight. So again, we strongly encourage you to check the application requirements, log in on Submittable, and check the application as soon as it opens. Don't wait until October or at least a month before it closes. So you have really ample time to ask questions or to figure out things that maybe you don't have an artist bio, so you will have enough time to write, in a concise way, and the word count that is required in the question. And so it is very important for all artists that are applying to review not only the eligibility requirements, but the application itself. And also maybe, if you have trouble logging in to Submittable or navigating, it's very user friendly. But if you have any technical issues, we may be able to assist if you contact us with enough time. And then, so the deadline is firm. Applicants will be notified of decisions by early December of this calendar year. We will have the award ceremony at the beginning of next year. So we will be notified before the end of this calendar year. The email address to contact regarding any questions is listed here, lightning@welcometolace.org. We will also paste it in the chat, and it's also on our website. So that is sort of like the one-stop shop for all of the information. We have some tips. So like I keep saying, and I really want to stress, review the guidelines to make sure that you're eligible, review the application on Submittable to make sure that you prepare a strong application, and with all of the word count requirements and all of the details of your project are included. Don't wait until last minute, because we can help you. And even, if you don't need help, if you have any questions or any feedback regarding the application itself, or even this information session, because it's our first time, please feel free to contact us. The resources that we want to share today, Creative Capital has free workshops, professional development workshops. They're called Creative Capital Curriculum. Camille will paste the link to the screenshot that is on the slide, and you can register for free. And they have different workshops from how to write an artist bio, how to describe your work or your practice. Very helpful. And LA County Department of Arts and Culture also has free workshops for artists. They're called paid. So if you go to the website that Camille will share, you can see there. So we have different types of resources to support the process. So that's why it is important to start early the application process, because you will have time to consult or to view the workshops and prepare your materials. And if you think that this will make them stronger. So lastly, questions. Ask questions. We are here for you, and yeah, email us with any questions that you may have. We're here to support you. So now we can maybe I'll exit. I'll stop sharing so we can see our faces. And I know that Fiona was trying to answer some questions in the chat, but feel free to add anything. Or Fiona, if there were any questions in the chat that were not addressed, if you can, yeah, let us know.
Yeah, thanks so much, Selene. One question I wanted to elevate was, I have a large project that I'm seeking funding from various sources for. Would I be able to propose one specific part of this larger project?
Yes, the answer is yes. The grant is supposed to cover, or ideally cover, most of a project. So then, it's sort of like an important contribution to the project. But if you devise a project that's having parts and the grant can support that part, yes, please apply. I see in the chat, is there a priority for collectives over individual applicants? No. It's about how you respond to the questions, how strong the proposals are, and how well they are in alignment with the goals of the grant. So yeah, no. But again, if you're applying as a collective, just select one of your members as the main applicant, and then in the description, please add all of the other names and even contact information if there's space. So definitely their names, and specify that you're a collective, just so the reviewers can understand the scope of the project and your practice. Then there's a question too. If you were awarded one of, oh, I saw Sarah said yes. Sorry, because I was gonna say if Sarah can answer that, if you were awarded one of the early, I think they were called emergency grants, because the first couple of years of the Lightning Fund, because it came up during COVID, there were 2 rounds of emergency grants for artists, and now we're doing project-based. But yes, you are eligible to apply
Right.
if you received an emergency grant.
We actually haven't listed whether, if you receive a project grant, you're eligible to get another one. That's a question that we haven't addressed. I would say for the moment, the answer would be no, but as the program is around longer, that answer may change. We know some of our colleagues that live in smaller artist communities, like there's, more finite number of artists, and they have funded people more than once. So for the moment, though, it's a $6,000 award. So if you get one, you probably wouldn't apply the next year. But the emergency grants are different, Martian. So you definitely could apply for the project grant now.
Thank you.
I thought people would ask about the budget more, Selene.
Maybe it's super easy. Yeah.
It's easy. Okay.
Mhm.
Kulov.
Hi guys.
Hi.
I have a question. I wanted to know, like, what part of our application do the panelists actually review? Is it all parts of it, including the budget?
Yes, everything.
Okay, because I
They-
found that last year when I applied, which was my first time for it, is that I was splitting my project narrative between all three. And I'm wondering, and I didn't need 500 words for the budget, but I would have liked to have more words for the project description or the community impact. So I'm wondering, like, you know, why are these sort of limitations kind of selected in this way?
I would say, and then correct me if I'm wrong, the rest of the team, but I think that just for ease, and you know, our reviewers will be reviewing a lot of applications. Last year we received over 200, so I would say also be kind to our reviewers. I wouldn't spread the answers, what you know, across questions, just you know, to be considerate. But if you need a little bit more space, yeah, just say, you know, this is part of the previous question, or maybe create a draft in a Word document first, and also that will help you with word count. And maybe that should have been a tip earlier on, start in a Word document so you can arrange in a way that makes more sense. You can work with the word count instead of starting the application on the actual portal, because that may be, you know, a little unhelpful to that. So if you start with a Word document, then you can rearrange things and make sure that you cover everything. But yes, the panelists read all of the application. But again, be kind to our panelists. The application itself has a flow that makes sense, and that is in it's according also to the criteria and how they will evaluate. So then if you know if they see a chaotic application with question 1 being answered and like question 4, it may not help your case. I don't know if anyone else has anything to add.
No, I think we have some other questions before I have to buzz out. Cindy had a question, and I wasn't sure what you meant. Do you want to just ask it out loud? Are you able to do that? Cindy?
Yeah, so I applied in 2022 and didn't get it. So I'm just wondering if y'all can offer like application review or kind of feedback on what, yeah.
Okay. It's really hard for us to do that. I really wish we could. It's just that we have so many applicants, you know, we potentially would have to make 200 appointments to talk with people. So, you know, I like to be, and Lace likes to be very accessible to artists overall, but it's challenging for this particular thing. And also, you know, we don't intentionally give like sample, you know, proposals because, you know, we're talking about art and we don't want to, you know, imply that there's like good art or this is the art that gets the award. I mean, the artists that were awarded were very different and had all kinds of projects. You can read the project descriptions actually for the last 2 years they were published. So if you want to get a sense of what kinds of it doesn't have images, but it does describe the project that they were awarded for. That could be a little bit helpful to you just in terms of how it might feel like a publicly accessible project, you know, how special it might be. But it's very hard for us to, I'm so sorry to give individual feedback, you know, before or after the review.
And again, because, yeah, thank you, Sarah. I put in the chat, the best approach is to try again. But also we are offering different resources, access to us before you hit the submit button. We're here, you know, to answer any questions or even give feedback if you have a specific question. But also take into account that if there are over 200 applications and we have 10 awards, 11 plus Jackie Apples, in a way, like if there are, you know, 50 strong applications, you know, super strong applications, it's kind of a lottery if you think about it, because, you know, we cannot award the 50. So then it's like, well, you know, the work, the really hard work is in the hands of the reviewers. to really pull, what they would consider the top 10, top 11. So it doesn't mean, it may not mean that your project was bad. It was just that, it was very, very competitive. And, we don't like to use those terms because it's not like that, but it's just a matter of the volume of the application. So don't be discouraged. Please try again. And yeah, keep trying, keep finessing your materials, your descriptions, make use of the free resources from Creative Capital and LA County Department of Arts and Culture, and also our team. We're here for you. Someone is asking what can be 3 examples of work that represent a proposing project for a film proposal. Would including some footage be okay? Yes, but take into account that reviewers, the sheer amount of applications. So be very strategic in what you are submitting. Maybe it's, an excerpt, a 2-minute excerpt or a trailer. And then if you can accompany it with still images that kind of show strong visuals, please do that. Let's see if there are more questions. Don't be shy. Questions, comments, concerns?
I think I'm a little confused in terms of, you talk about traditional art forms, you talk about non-traditional art forms, but then you have a preference that the work be accessible outside of traditional spaces. I wonder if you could talk a little bit about if there's a priority in terms of what is considered in offering the grants.
I think it has to do more with the innovation. So if it's to support a very traditional body of work, definitely there will, other projects. Let's say, I don't know, an example could be someone has been working in painting in a very traditional way, but they want to experiment, try new materials or new formats or different, different formats, and they want to show in I don't know, a gallery space that is a pop-up or something like that. That kind of project that is kind of outside of, showing at a traditional museum will happen more than the presentation. I feel really you have to make a strong case for why this is important and that how it will have an impact in your career and also in your community. I hope that was helpful. Oh, there's more questions. And I think someone already asked, but can we submit for a performance piece that already happened and want to redo in a different capacity? I'm gonna say yes. Yeah, if you want to expand and have, maybe the first time was more a test and you didn't have a budget or space, and then you want an opportunity to redo something with more resources. Yes, but then explain why. And maybe that will also be a strong case for in your application that you were testing and then you want to do it a little bit more ambitiously with more resources of time and money. Can you elaborate on the eligibility of people who work primarily on film? If you I think that the key is if you consider yourself a visual artist who works in film, you are eligible to apply. If you are a filmmaker that works in feature films, you are not eligible to apply. So the key is you are a visual artist or someone that works in the arts or that makes works that could be presented in a visual arts context. Let me know if that was helpful. And then a question from Andre. Hi, for each image submission, is it acceptable to include multiple images of the same project within each image? So do you mean a collage, like a grid? I think that's, yeah, a cool loophole. Like if you have the time to put together, just make sure that the image is large enough that you can, the reviewers are able to see what you present, and also that there's a purpose, if there's a point in including more than one image for your project. Like if it'll make her, if you think that doing that will make the application stronger, you're welcome to it. Yeah, let me know if that answered the question. Anyone else? And yes, remember that you have three opportunities to three spaces for visuals. So be strategic, because that's what not all of the reviewers will go to, your websites or Instagram. It's sort of like additional information that may be helpful, but the application itself is what they will focus on. Okay, thank you. Any other questions? We have 10 minutes for questions, comments. Anyone from the team has questions or remember anything that we haven't covered? What was the cap for artist collaborative piece? So there's no cap, but we think that we want artists to prioritize their needs. So if you think that 50% of the grant you want to use, to pay your own fee, and you make a case, please feel free. Obviously not, 100%, because it is to realize a project, but I think that just sort of symbolically, if you go up to 50% it's okay, but then, there are other costs that you may want to prioritize, like materials and space, things like that. Thank you, Erin. Is there a report due at the end of the grant period? There's actually, Fiona, can you answer that question?
Yeah, so we check in with you or the awardees at the end of the calendar year, where we ask for like a brief summary on how the project went, was it presented, but there is no like formal grant report that you need to do.
Thank you. Do we have to have a confirmed show date, or can we apply for funding while we pitch our projects to spaces? Yes, so you do not have to have a confirmed show date or anything like that, but make sure in the question about accessibility, make sure to describe your ideal space. And again, we will prioritize spaces that are non-traditional. So, if you list LACMA, other projects that describe that in different ways will get priority. So just make sure that maybe you're describing, a community gallery space or a public event or things like that. So if you don't have a space yet, make sure to describe what your ideal space would look like. Any other questions? So question, if you are applying with an installation concept, is the idea that it would only be up for one day? Not necessarily. I think it depends on the project. If it's, an ephemeral work and that is part of the nature of the work, that is fine. But if it's, an installation that you hope, stays for longer, that is also fine. I think it depends on the project itself and what your intentions are for the access, for the public to access the work. Another question is, would we be organizing a showing in collaboration of or with the support of LACE? No, unfortunately not. The projects are not intended to be presented at LACE, and in addition to that, we don't have space right now, so we will not be able to offer our space. Then we are responsible. It's another question, a follow-up question. So we are responsible for finding a location that would allow for a longer showtime. Yes. If that is what you hope your project to be, or it's part of the intention of the work, yeah, you're welcome to look for a space with a longer viewing time. And you can say that in your application too, that if you know that the installation could exist for a day, like a pop-up, but ideally you would want to look for a space or a location that would allow it to exist for longer, make sure that you add that in the application. We have 5 minutes, 5 more minutes for questions. Also, feel free to turn on your microphones if you want to ask instead of typing a question. And again, yeah, this session is being recorded, so we will upload this to our website before the end of the week, so it's available if you want to review anything that we went over, or for any applicants or interested artists that weren't able to attend live. Okay, see any messages? I'm new to paying myself and just wondering if there are any resources for knowing how to set your rates. Yes, there is a website called Wage, and it's an artist project. Wage artist fees. So I just Googled wage artist fees. I'm gonna put it in the chat. Oh, thank you. And there's a fee calculator, but also maybe I'll repaste the other resources that we shared earlier. The LA County Department of Arts and Culture has professional development workshops as well as creative capital. And they have some sessions that are about how to build a budget, how to actually, like, the creative capital. I'm reading the curriculum, and there's one about self-presentation, how to write an art statement, a bio, resume, how to write a description, practical administration, timelines, budgets, planning, and elevator pitches, online presence. So, and the ones from LA County Departments of Art and Culture are also kind of very similar in what they are offering. So yeah, I hope that that answered the question. Oh, thanks for sharing. Yeah, and then Camille also shared a link with the artist about an art statements. It's not about, artist fees, but do's and don'ts about how to build your artist statement. And I'll go up for so does the application have space for work sample descriptions? If yes, how long are those? Actually, I'm not sure. I think that you can add a caption, like a title. But actually, I'm not sure. But if they exist, I feel like they're very brief. So any description that you want to do, I would just add it in the project description, not necessarily in the samples. Or if you have an opportunity to add text to the sample, but don't go very long. These or this portion of the application of the samples is intended to be visuals. So keep that in mind. That's kind of like a very important keyword, visuals. So the visuals have to speak for themselves. How long do reviewers spend on each application? They have a review period of 6 to 8 weeks, if I'm remembering correctly. So I think it's going to depend on the reviewer, but they have enough time to review, and then there are 2 reviewers reviewing each application. So we're doing it in sets, and then they will discuss when we meet. So I think that is also very helpful to have more than one set of eyes deciding and yeah, supporting the review process. It makes it more equitable too when there's more than one person reading your application.
Do you have like a sample budget that you want us to use? Because I know different places. No.
No, we don't want to give sample budgets because we encourage you to, that is kind of like too formal. We listed in the application the different sample line items, but they may not even work for your project. So I think it depends, really, really depends on the project. So the usual kind of like, normal, regular costs are artist fee, any collaborators, fees, fabrication, materials, supplies, space, which could be, rental of space or permits for the space, equipment, rental or purchase if you need any type of equipment that will help you realize your project. Documentation, so photo, video, like if you want to hire a videographer, if you're a performance artist and when you present you want documentation, that can also be a cost that should be included. A website, if it's part of your project, or if you as an artist, don't have a website and would like to have one, as part of the grant support, and you can make a case for why you need it as part of the grant, feel free. Also, we mentioned hospitality. If you are planning to have a reception or it's some sort of community program where you would like to offer refreshments, that can also be a cost. But we really want to be as open as possible and not force any, line items that will depend on the project and your needs. And yeah, we're a little bit over time. It's 2:02. If you have any urgent questions, it's now or never. No, I'm kidding. Yeah, please ask away before we leave the Zoom. But if you come up with another question after we end the call, please feel free to reach out. Our email is lightning@welcometolace.org. And you can also look it up on our website, welcometolace.org. We have a webpage for the Lightning Fund with all of the criteria, eligibility requirements, the history of the re-granting program, and the Jacki Apple Award. And yeah, we also, our information is on the website. So please feel free to reach out, especially if you have questions or need assistance with the application. As a reminder, the application opens on August 16th. So there's a couple of weeks to review this info session and the guidelines on the website. And then as soon as it opens, we encourage you to jump on Submittable and look around and see if there's anything that you would need to consult with the LACE team. And yeah, we encourage you to look at the questions. Maybe you can copy paste them into a Word document so you can kind of strategize and also be mindful of the word count and make sure that you cover everything that will make your application strong for the reviewers. Thank you very much for attending our first info session for the Lightning Fund. We're very grateful, and again, we're here to support you. So please reach out. We have also Lace always has events, even though we don't have a space. We've been having different kinds of public programs around LA and different locations. So please sign on to our newsletter, look at our website, join, follow our Instagram so you can be in the know of what we're up to and support Lace that way too. Thank you so much.